Boom, we are live for a brand new training. This one is going to be a very juicy one. I felt the urgent need to create this training for you guys because a lot of things are changing in the social media marketing space. I get questions a lot on the things that I'm seeing that have changed, the things that I'm seeing come up, the things that I'm seeing that are just completely new. And I think that if you are to have success in 2022 with a social media marketing agency, you absolutely must know these new changes, these new market shifts, because the people that I truly see having wild success with an agency this year are the people that are really incorporating these changes, that are able to adapt quickly. And that is what that is my number one goal for you today, to be able to walk away from this live training with tangible new expertise, tips, strategies that you can implement for your social media marketing agency to really take it up a notch. And the main reason why I wanted to create this training as well is because a lot of the strategies that I see being talked about or have been talked about in the past around building a social media marketing agency are simply just not as effective as they used to be, or completely outdated. And so they need revamping. And I'm going to be sharing with you battle-tested, concepts from the field, right? I still actively run my e-com agency. Not only that, but I also run my e-com brand. So I'm actively spending my own money on my e-com brands, but also doing it for clients. And these strategies that I'm going to be sharing with you today are the strategies that I'm seeing day in and day out in this incredible space that I absolutely love. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Now, I've gone ahead and prepared a little training for you guys. Okay, so we're going to be covering this short document. I'm going to be going back and forth between me and the document. If you stay till the end of the video, you're going to be getting that document sent over to you. So make sure that you stay till the end if you so wish to, and you're not absolutely bored. But we're going to be dropping some huge value bombs, and I'm excited for this. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, a final thing that I'll say is this, the whole point of this training is not to stretch it out, is to make it as quick and as effective as possible, because I want you implementing these strategies as quick and as fast as possible, right? These are, strategies that you can implement right away to get results, all right? So the only way to have success with SMMA in 2022, the SMMA space is changing, as I said, and it's those who can adapt to new trends and market shifts that will reap massive rewards this year, right? Those who are stuck in old ways of doing things, those who are stuck in old paradigms, those who are watching outdated trainings, or those who are getting knowledge from outdated methods or things that used to work 5, 3, 2, 1 year ago, they're simply gonna not gonna have as much success, right? And so my number one goal is to equip you with the things that actually work as we speak. So a few things that we're going to be talking about, right? Because the reality is most of the advice thrown around in the space is either outdated or simply not as effective as it once was, okay? These are the 3 keys that we're going to be focusing on, okay? The different market shifts. And I could talk about this for hours, and then I'm probably going to make a few more videos on this topic on the channel, as well as the free community that I've got on Facebook, the Client Closers. If you guys are watching there, give me a heads up, give me a 1 to see my Client Closers family in the comments. Got my notepad ready. We need a slice of the SMMA pie. So yes, absolutely, 100%, right? And that is the number one goal for this training, is for you guys to get a slice of this pie that is ever growing, right? This whole conversation of SMMA being saturated, SMMA being, it's just absolutely not true. Right? Now, if you do things the old way, 100%, everything is saturated, right? If you do things like most people are doing things. But if you can stand out from the market, really beat out the noise, then you can reap massive rewards. So the first thing is the shift towards niche-specific agencies. And I'm not just talking about, we all know, right? You have to, pick a niche. We all know that. But I'm going to be talking about things like Web 3.0, all right? How that plays a role within the e-com agency umbrella. I'm going to be talking about sub-niches within the e-commerce space, right? I'm going to be talking a little bit about local business. If you guys have been following the content for a while, you probably know my take on that. But this is a revamped take. This is what I'm seeing in the field as we speak. So we're going to be talking a little bit about niche-specific agencies. We're going to be also talking about the shift towards a niche-specific process to results, right? And how a lot of people are getting it completely wrong when it comes to their offer. And the final thing is we're going to be talking a little bit about micro-authorities, what that whole concept is, and why it's absolutely vital that you implement it, all right? So the shift towards niche-specific agencies. Now, it goes without saying, obviously, that the way to go is the e-com route. And one of the things about me is I will never say that that local business doesn't work, right? It does work. Everything works, but it's about what, are you going to go ahead and go into a space that is on the rise, right? Or are you going to go into a space that is way harder to, for example, convey your value, right? There's a bunch of inherent problems about local business and going down that route that no one can argue against, right? For example, we cannot convey our value as easily as with e-commerce. I cannot actively tell my clients every single morning when they wake up, whether they wake up on the wrong side of the bed or whether they wake up super happy with my service. I cannot actively tell them, hey, I spent this much for you and I made you this much. I'm always relying on an external factor. I'm always relying on them to close the leads that I'm bringing them. Okay. Look, I started my business to be in control of my value, to be in control of my financial well-being, right? I don't want to cater to any boss, right? And so when someone has a say on your value, which is the case with a local business agency, it doesn't feel great. And the reason why I can speak on this topic is because I ran when I first started, I ran a local business agency, right? I was helping gyms and health clinics. And so I know what I've been down that route. I know what it feels like, right? To get all these people, all these leads, right? But then them have a massive say on your value because, whether they cannot close the leads or whether they do close the leads, if they don't close the leads, right, they can just say the leads are weak. And even though the leads may have been absolutely not weak, in fact, insanely qualified, at the end of the day, they have the final say, right? So it's your word against theirs. And at the end of the day, they're paying you, right? And so, guess who's going to win that battle, right? And even if they say, hey, look, Jaime, your leads are amazingly qualified, they're amazing leads, we just cannot close them, they're still not going to need your service. So the outcome is pretty much the same, okay? When it comes to e-commerce, we understand that for e-com businesses, right, the customers that we're bringing them, running paid ads for them is literally the lifeblood of their business, right? If they're not running ads, there's very few other ways that they can get eyeballs. Sure, they can create organic content, but organic content isn't one of those things that you can master, straight out. You can wake up one day and just master, right? It's also a little bit of a slow grind. It is a way more, it is way more of a grind for these e-com founders than just spending $1 and getting $5 back, or knowing how much they can pay for a customer. So there's a lot of implications when going down the local business route. Obviously, you're also geographically limited. You're not tapping into the power of social media. E-com founders are completely, they're used to hanging out on social media. Whereas a lot of these local business owners, they're running around running their actual business, right? Because it has a physical touch. A lot of these e-com founders are completely, they are completely used to hiring people all over the world, right? They've had VAs. They've probably hired a lot of the people that they have on their team just globally without even meeting them in person. A lot of local business owners have not had that experience. Thus, they tend to lean more towards people that they can meet physically, right? So it's a little bit harder to scale. You don't have the location freedom on that sense, right? The list goes on, really. The list goes on. I mean, the list goes on, and I will talk a little bit about what the main problem is in one of the shifts in just a second. That being the fact that the local businesses always have a cap to scale. Like if you're getting a huge number of leads for a restaurant, they either stop the lead flow, right, or they open up a new restaurant. And in most of them not, it's the former one, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that. How it's very, very hard to take a local business from 6 figures to 8 figures because oftentimes they do have a glass ceiling to scale. But regardless, let's go back to the document. So obviously, the niches that I'm going to be talking about are e-commerce for the number of reasons that I just listed, and I could list many more, right? So knowing that, okay, the sub niches within e-commerce are growing more than ever, okay? And I like to segment the sub niches within e-commerce in 2 different categories, right? We've got product-based sub niches, and then we've also got behavioral-based sub niches, right? Now, it's pretty intuitive, but the main difference there is that with product-based sub niches, right, the number one thing that is in common in between with all these brands is the product, right? They're selling the same sort of product. For example, a good example, cosmetics, right? They're selling cosmetic products, right? With behavioral-based sub niches, what they have in common is not a specific product, right? It's a specific behavior, principle, ethic, right? Values that they share in common. For example, vegan, For example, sustainability, right? You could have apparel and fashion sustainable brands. You could have cosmetic sustainable brands. You could have, food and beverage sustainable brands. Make sense? So those are, brands that are in different product-based sub-niches, right? So selling different products, cosmetics, apparel and fashion, food and beverage, right? But they share a set of values that is consistent across. Okay, so those are the different sub niches that you can pick from. But the point here is those sub niches are growing more than ever, and so a lot of people used to think, well, if I just narrow down into specific sub niche within e-commerce, surely I'm going to run out of leads. Like these are not big spaces. And what they fail to realize is that, first of all, these are billion-dollar industries we're talking about, right? Billion-dollar industries. To get an agency to 10, 20, 50, 100K a month, right? You really, the way my students and I do it is, we're signing 3 to 5 clients for 10K per month, right? And I'll talk a little bit about how we structure our offers and how we structure our pricing for you guys. So you really only need 3 to 5 clients for 10K per month. And for 50 to 100K per month, you really just need 10, 15 clients, right? Because the money that we can make from these guys can be 10K per month incomes, right? If you add the fixed fees plus the percentage of ad profits, which I'll talk about in just a second, right? And so you really, it's not like you need 40%, 50% of the market share to have a widely successful business that allows you to not only have financial freedom, but also time, location freedom, and that allows you to live your dream lifestyle, right? So that's the first thing. But even if you needed that a 40% market share, there's literally an infinite number of sub niches that you can pick from, right? Literally an infinite number. You can think of any sub niche under the sun, and people will be selling products around it, right? Everyone and their mother wants to sell something online, right? And that is one of the reasons why I constantly say this, right? The people that can grow things online are going to be the most valuable people in the next 10, 15 years, right? They already are. We already are, because we are the true rainmakers, right? But these are going to be the most valuable people in the next 10, 15 years. And the simple reason being, right? The simple reason being is that everyone is going to be selling something online in the next 10, 15 years, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whether it's information, right? And so understand that, we really are going to be the most valuable people. And this is one of those skills that is insanely transferable and has insane longevity. That's another reason why, every time someone talks about like saturation, all this stuff, right? Number one, it doesn't apply, because the e-com space is growing more than ever. It's grown more in the past 6 months than in the past 10 years, right? Number two, one of the great things about an agency is that we're not trading stocks. We're not doing drop shipping where we just have to kind of like burn a bunch of different products until one works, right? We're selling a skill set, all right? And the great thing about selling a skill set is that this skill set you're always going to have for the rest of your existence. And this skill set is transferable, right? The only reason why I've been able to build the e-com brands that I've built alongside my e-com agency is precisely because I had an e-com agency, right? It's because of the capital that I built with my e-com agency. It's because of the connections that I built, right? A lot of the brands that I've started literally came from connections that I built from my client list, right? They connected me with the right manufacturers, right? They connected me with the right logistic companies. They made it happen, right? Obviously, I'm not going to take credit away from me and the team, right? But they really gave me those connections. Why? Because I grew their business, right? We became partners, which is another great thing about building an e-com agency, is that you're not just seen as this commodity, right? You're not just seen as this guy who's like running your ads. We come in as partners. We are the rainmakers. We're the growth partners, right? And that is why a lot of the times we take equity in these brands, right? I've got students taking equity in brands that are worth, 5 to 10 mil, right? Like when that brand keeps growing, right? And when they cash out, that's going to be a good chunk of money. That's going to be a good bag. So yeah, that's a little bit of a side tangent, but my point is there are a ton of sub niches growing more than ever. And that actually leads me to a topic that I want to talk about, which is Web 3.0, right? I've got people who are really passionate about Web 3.0. And Web 3.0, I still consider e-commerce, right? Because it's just a variation, right? It's kind of like where we're heading, right? We're still selling things online. If you look at, for example, NFT projects, a bunch of my students, I've got a student, making 400K per month with an NFT agency, right? Another one of my students, Yannick, signing a 7K per month NFT client. Okay, the reason why that's possible is because NFT, the whole NFT space obviously is booming, right? And these guys are still selling stuff online, NFT collections, right? Digital art. And so, Web 3.0 still is, and it's a huge, and it's going to be a huge part of the whole e-com umbrella and the whole e-com agency space. And it has insane opportunities, whether it's, for example, DeFi platforms, whether it's DAOs, right? I'm talking more to my Web 3.0 people here, whether it's DeFi platforms, whether it's DAOs, whether it's NFT projects. There's a ton of a ton of potential for Web 3.0 within the e-com agency umbrella. And so for those of you who are, maybe doubting, maybe a sub niche is way too narrow, understand that literally there are sub niches created every single day within the e-com space, and these are billion-dollar sub niches, and you really only have to get a tiny fraction to build a widely successful agency. Is it live? Yes, we are live. So picking a niche within the e-com space. If you guys have questions, okay, drop them in the chat. I may find a little bit of time at the end to answer your question. Okay, so if you stay till the end, you'll probably get an answer to your question. So picking a niche within the e-com space, we've already talked about that. And one of the great things about this is because, and one of the reasons why this is a huge advantage, and really the only way to have success in SMMA in 2022 is not only going down the e-com route, but picking a sub niche. The reason why that's incredibly important is because you tap into what I call the monopoly agency effect, right? This is a concept that I've talked about a few times on my channel. And the reason why it's incredibly powerful is because most agencies out there suffer from an epidemic of Me Too agencies. And the reason, and what I mean by that is most agencies are offering the exact same thing, right? They're offering the exact same thing. They're making their service their offer, which we'll talk about in just a second, right? And they're tapping into broad markets, like, for example, the e-com space, okay? There's absolutely no way, right? There's absolutely no way, or you're just choosing you're really just choosing to make your life hard. There's absolutely no way you're going to go into the e-com space, okay, into a broad space without any track record, without any experience, without any process to results, and you're going to be able to compete with agencies that have been in the e-com space for a while now, are far more established, have 10 years of experience, and have a track record, right? And a lot of people will listen to that and they'll be like, oh, it's done. No, the point here is you shouldn't be trying to compete with these people, right? In fact, the cool thing about this is that when you actually tap into a sub niche, these people cannot compete with you because these are clunky agencies that are not agile. We are super agile. You can pick a specific sub niche and you can go ahead and narrow down into a specific sub niche with your content, with your messaging, with your process to results, with your appointment setting framework, with the way you message these brands, right? And you're going to gain an edge over these more traditional, bigger agencies that have way more track record, way more experience, a huge clientele, right? Simply because they cannot go ahead and not compete with you at that small scale, right? They cannot go ahead and say, oh, we've been serving e-com brands and local business brands for 10 plus years at this point, but now we're choosing to go down the apparel and fashion space. Absolutely not, right? Because they have brands from all, from different spaces, okay? So that's not going to work for them. And the reality is they're going to realize, like, shit, we cannot compete with the, agencies that are specific in a space, right? It's because when we have an apparel a fashion brand that we want to work with, there are apparel and fashion brand agencies that have specific process to results, that have maybe also, okay, although you don't have to when you start out, that have already worked with other apparel and fashion brands, right? And so they know what works, they know what doesn't. And so we just cannot compete, right? Sure, we have more track record, sure, we have more authority, but the shift that I'm seeing in the market nowadays is that people don't really care about size, right? People don't really care about size. And this actually, brings me into the next point. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about micro authorities here, the in-group and out-group bias. But one of the shifts that I'm seeing is that people do not care about size. They just want to go with the person that understands them the most, right? We've gone from a world, if you look at the internet and social media, right? We've forced when the internet came around, right? We forced really tended to the people that have the most followers, right? But what I've seen now is that the people that have the most followers don't have the most engaged communities, right? It's all about community nowadays. It's all about, it seems like now everything's tending to smaller communities that share a lot of things in common, right? People want to feel a certain a sense of connection. People want to feel a sense of, being part of a tight-knit environment. That's why, for example, you'll never see me create a course with thousands and thousands of students, because quite frankly, number one, it's not good for anyone, right? It doesn't get results. Number two, there's genuinely no connection there, right? And so smaller communities, little tribes that share a lot of things in common, that's where we're heading. We're heading towards that sense of community, because now there's so much. Everything's just like so big. There's so many, massive communities that people now feel like, everything is kind of like retracting, and we want to go back to feeling a sense of connection, a genuine connection, right? Within the internet and within social media. And I think, that's one of the trends that I'm seeing right now with even content and all this stuff. The people that are having massive success are not the people that have the most followers. They're not the people that have the most likes. They're just the people that have the most engaged communities and the most just the genuine, like the people that are the most interested in a specific like random topic, right? It could be about like coding HTML code, right? And you have like 20,000 followers, but sure, they're all super hyper like focus on that one thing, right? And super hyper specific on that one thing. If you look at, for example, where brands are investing when it comes to influencers, right? I mean, we're seeing this shift, this cultural shift all across the industry, right? But if you look at the influencers that brands are choosing nowadays, and that they're paying big bucks for, they're not the influencers with the most number of followers. They're the influencers with the smaller communities, but the really engaged communities in a specific topic. So that's a little bit of a rant, right? But that is why the monopoly agency effect is so freaking vital, because at the end of the day, people want to connect with people, right? And there's this thing called in-group, out-group bias, and so we tend to favor people who are inside our tribe. Okay, and so when we come into a space and we say, hey, if let's just say you focus on cosmetics, right? I don't do apparel and fashion. I don't do local business. I don't do that. I don't do this. One of the reasons why we are taking the industry by storm is because we are laser focused on cosmetic brands. We know what the industry values. We know what consumers are after. We know what type of creatives work in the space. We know what type of messaging works, right? And not only that, but you're going to be posting content around that. You're going to be messaging them around. You're going to be dropping little value bombs. You're going to be dropping names of competitors. You're going to have a really good awareness and understanding of what's going on in that industry, and that's going to position you as an authority. Can you make the sheet bigger? That's a good question. Let's see. I don't think I can. Unfortunately. But yeah. That is the shift towards niche-specific agencies. I could talk about that for hours on end, but I want to be mindful of time here, because it's not about the length of this training. It's about making it short and sweet and making it impactful. So let's move on to the shift towards a niche-specific process to results. All right. What do I mean by this? A lot of people, there's a big confusion in the space, not only with going into a broad e-com space, into trying to be an e-com agency and just going tapping into a broad space without realizing that sub-niche agencies is where it's at. But also people thinking that their offer is their service is their offer, right? So a lot of people are, for example, debating whether TikTok ads is better than Facebook ads. And that is a, fair debate. And that is a debate that I'm going to be talking about on my channel for the next few days and weeks. But it's not really what you should be focused on, right? It is by far way more important that you have a specific sub-niche and that you have a specific process to results for that sub-niche in specific, right? So what I mean by that is your clients don't really care, okay? Your clients don't really care how you grow their cosmetic brand. They just care that you can grow their cosmetic brand, right? The vehicle that you use to do so, I mean, sure, it can play a role, but I can tell you from a lot of, a lot of experience and a lot of sales calls that it doesn't play the same role, not even close, as your understanding of that specific sub niche and you having a specific dialed in process to results for that sub niche. What do I mean by a process to results? What I mean by a process to results is you looking at, for example, you take a sub niche, right? And you go ahead and you look at the cosmetic space and you look at the people who are crushing it in the cosmetic space, right? You go ahead and you compile a list of 15 to 20 brands and you look at their ads, funnels, and offers. Okay. And I could, I could talk about this for like hours on end, but you look at their ads, offers, and funnels. Okay. And then you dissect what is working. You ask yourself, what type of creatives are they using? What type of copy are they using? Where are they driving all this traffic? Are they using collection pages, or are they using a single landing page that has one specific product, one specific offer there, right? What does the offer look like? Are they doing a free plus shipping model? Are they doing a subscription model? How are they enticing people to buy, right? Are they using scarcity? Are they using timers? Are they using, buy one, get one free? Are they using promo codes? What are they doing, right? And obviously, different brands will be doing different things, but you can compile a list of what the top brands are doing, and then out of that, compile a process to results based around ads, offers, and funnels. Okay, because you've literally taken what the top brands in the cosmetic space are doing, and you've compressed it down into a process to results that works because it works for other brands, right? Now the execution is the only thing that is left. And so obviously, I could also talk about the huge importance of building out an A team. Like there's absolutely no like in 2022, you have to get client results. It's just as simple as that. You have to know how to get client results. But I digress. Having that process results speaks way louder than saying, oh, I do Facebook ads. Cool. Get in the queue. So do a bunch of other people. That is not our edge. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about that. The fact that you're not a Facebook ads agency, you're not a TikTok ads agency, you are a whatever sub niche you pick, you are a cosmetic e-com agency, okay, with a specific process results, a cosmetic growth formula, right? That you've determined by analyzing and by looking at what works in that space. Okay, so very, very important. Let me see if I can. Boom. How do we like this? Much better, right? I mean, actually, this is smaller now, but you guys can see more of my face. Anyways, my point is, so that's one of the things that I want to talk about. Okay, now let's move on to having a 360 approach, but a flagship service focus. Okay, so you're not a Facebook ads agency, all right, and you shouldn't just focus on your flagship service. All right, you shouldn't just focus on Facebook ads to get e-com results. Massive. And one of the things that you should probably note down, which is understanding that when it comes to e-com results, you need a 360 approach, right? No, it doesn't mean that you should learn everything, right? And you should panic right now and, get into this knowledge paralysis where you feel like you need to know everything. Absolutely not. These things come as you start, leveling up and as you actually start doing. But the main thing here is for your clients to understand that you don't just look at e-com growth from a Facebook ads lens, from a TikTok ads lens, right? That is what most agencies that don't know what the hell they're doing actually do, right? They think that they should just focus on traffic. And, I'm just sending you all this traffic to your landing page. Okay, cool. But if your landing page sucks, if it doesn't convert, right? How do you expect this whole funnel? How do you expect this whole partnership to work out? Right? You're literally burning money. You're not being super lean. You're not being super aerodynamic. All right. And so it's about understanding that, sure, we have a monastic obsession with our service, right? Which is just a vehicle. That's not our offer, simply our vehicle, right? We focus on that. But then we understand all the different intricacies, all the different components that make up the e-com funnel. Where are we driving the traffic? Is this website optimized? What is the offer? What does the offer look like? Right? One of the things that I do in my mentorship, and one of the things that we do as e-com agency founders, is we go ahead and oftentimes we tell the client what the cold offer should look like. All right? Because most e-com founders, they have an incredible team. They're super passionate about what they built, but they just have absolutely no understanding as to what a good offer looks like. All right. So let's go ahead and put together an irresistible offer for a cold audience. It may be that we may have to bundle a bunch of different products. It may be that we may have to add a little ebook, a little free course in there. Right? It may be that we may have to do a free plus shipping offer, okay? But we actively tell them what the offer should look like. All right? We don't just take, oh, this is the winning product. Let's just, put it towards a cold audience, or even worse, right? Drive traffic to a collection of a billion different products. That's not how it's going to work. Okay. So, I mean, I could talk about this for hours on end, right? But creatives, massive. Ad copy, massive. Obviously, the landing page you're driving traffic to, massive. okay, if they don't have a solid backend of emails, just the most basic ones, all right, the ecom founder should know this. It's your job as the ecom growth hacker to come in and tell them like, hey, like this is not gonna, we're not optimizing for revenue here. Like, we're leaving a lot of money on the table. Not just look at your service, right? That is it's just not responsible, to be honest with you. It really is not responsible. And on the flip side, if you have this 360 approach, not only will you make your clients a lot more money, okay, but you will also make yourself a lot more money, which I'll talk about in just a second. Thus, you will keep them for a lot longer because you're making the money. They want you to stay around. You're happy because you're making money and your team is making money. But it will also make the process of cross-selling to different services insanely easy. All right. One of the easiest ways that we grow our clients' lifetime value for our agency is simply by just going ahead and in the third month, we tell them, hey, we built you up this very simple. I mean, we don't sell it like this, right? But we tell them like, hey, we built you up this very simple Klaviyo flows and we've made you a bunch of money. Why don't we take this up a level? Look, we could do a fixed fee. For some clients, we'll do a percentage of the revenue from these email flows, and boom, we've added, without adding much complexity to our whole ecosystem, because it's not a complete different service. It's pretty simple to do. We've productized it, quite a bit at this point. We've just added maybe another 2, 3, 4, 5K to our fixed fee from this client, and in the process, making them a lot more money. So that's a little bit about the 360 approach, and the ability to get results is how you scale. Okay, so not only is it good for the client, not only is it good for the so not only does that mean that you keep them on for much longer, not only is it great for your confidence on sales calls, okay, but the easiest way to scale is by getting client results. This is where e-commerce differs from, for example, a local business agency, because when I get my clients' results, I'm growing my revenue month to month. All right, why? Because it means that I'm scaling the ad spend. I'm scaling how much I'm spending for them on the ads. Right? Thus, I'm making them more revenue. And because I'm taking a percentage of that profit, I'm making more profit every single year, every single month. Right? Thus, I'm taking more money home. So you can see that, it just kind of grows passively. It doesn't increase complexity. The more we spend, I've found that it has absolutely no correlation in complexity, to be honest with you. In fact, it tends to become easier because you just pour more budget into the campaigns and the ad sets that are working. But that's a whole different topic. The ability to get results is how you scale, right? And so I have 10K plus per month incomes from clients, right? How simple is it to scale to 50K per month when you have that, compared to signing low ticket clients, not getting them results, not having a percentage of ad profit or a performance driven incentive, right? Or even worse, having a local business agency where not only do you not have a percentage of ad profit, but you're actually relying on them to close these leads to make money, right? So the only way to scale with a local business agency is through volume. You have to pack on a lot of clients. The way we scale is we focus on, yes, always having a pipeline, a really solid pipeline of leads, signing high ticket, high quality e-com clients that are and continually scaling their ad spend, because we get them good results, because we have a 360 approach. Right? Less is more when it comes to this business. And that is another big market shift that is happening. Okay. The agency owners that are reaping massive success are the agency owners that are realizing, I don't want a bunch of clients. I just want really solid clients within the e-com space that are spending good money, that are making good money. All right. And we can just continually scale their ad spend every single month. We continuously take chunks on that until it gets to a point where, it becomes apparently clear that we should become, a partner and take equity in their brand. All right. And when you get to that point, not only do you have a bunch of clients that are making you whose money is increasing every single month, right? But then you have equity in a bunch of different e-com brands. You literally feel like an e-com founder that has a bunch of different e-com brands, yet you're not having to think about inventory. You're not having to think about product. You're not having to think about logistics. You're not having to think about customer support. It literally is the best thing on the planet. It literally is the best job on the planet, right? You have a bunch of these e-com brands, right? You're taking equity in them, or maybe not. Maybe you're just doing the performance-driven incentive plus the fixed fee. Still feels great, but you have a bunch of brands. You're taking equity in them. You have a sense of ownership over them. Yet you're only bearing the responsibility of the marketing side of things. So pretty cool. And the final thing, my loyal watchers community, the final thing is the shift towards micro authorities, which is a little bit, touches on some of the topics that we've spoken about in the first, in that first topic, which was the shift towards niche specific agencies. There's also a cultural shift that I'm seeing, as I mentioned, towards smaller communities, more engaged communities, people that have specific knowledge. We see this across the industry with influencers. Those influencers that have smaller communities but more engaged are the ones that are truly making a lot of money and are the ones that are truly having an impact, right? Whereas these big communities that have absolutely nothing in common in between them are the communities that are really falling apart. Why? Because as humans, we are now seeking connection. We're tired of just, the whole social media bullshit, and we are seeking connection, and we're seeking, we're seeking tight-knit communities. So there's a massive shift towards micro authorities. All right. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because a lot of you guys, I think, get super overwhelmed by this whole idea that creating content, number one, you don't have followers, right? So you'll never be able to do that. And creating content is only cut out for, some just weird breed of people. And that's just simply not true. Okay. And I'm here to debunk that myth, and I'm here to empower you, because creating content, number one, is not the end all be all, right? You don't have to be a Gary V, first of all, right? You don't have to create content all day, right? And number three, we don't just rely on content, all right? For example, I've got my automated sales funnel, has nothing to do with content, right? But when it comes to my organic proof of funnel that is working so tremendously well, content within a specific sub niche grows authority like nothing could ever, all right? We have a 3D approach. It's not just we send a message and then hope for the best. We send a message, they see our content because we add them as a friend or as a connection, right? They see our profile, right? Which builds further authority. They see our connections within that specific space, right? And all of a sudden, we are the go-to person in their space. There's no one else that they're thinking about. We're not perfectly competitive. We are a monopoly. Perfectly competitive are those agencies that are literally the only thing that they can compete on is price, right? Perfectly competitive means that the customers, okay, the prospects know how much everyone is charging. And the only thing that can set someone apart is that they're charging less, because there's nothing else. Whereas we can charge premium prices because we are not competing on price, but instead we are the only option, because we are the only cosmetic, agency that has that specific offer, right? Even if there are other cosmetic brands, like let's just say people actually implement this, right? And pick a specific sub niche, everyone will have different offers. Everyone will have different process to results. Everyone will have different angles of content. Everyone will have different brands that they approach, because we're talking about billion-dollar industries, right? We're not competing in terms of geography. It's a whole different space. Okay, it's not local business. It's not like the guy next to you reached out to all the gyms in your city, and now you can all reach out to them. All right, we're playing in a different field here. So my point is that 3D approach is what it's all about, right? It's not just, sending out an email, them not even knowing who you are. We're moving into a world where people want to see the people behind the business, right? Because humans connect with humans. Humans do not connect with products. They do not connect with businesses. They connect with humans, right? And so that line between professional and personal is being blurred so much that it's those people that show face. It's those people that can create content around that specific sub niche, right? That can really just not seem like a fly-by-night opportunist, just trying to make a quick buck. Okay. And look, it's not just about creating content. I'm not saying if you don't create content, you're not going to have a successful agency. Absolutely not. As I said, one of my main revenue generators for my agency is a sales funnel that doesn't rely on content. Okay. But are you actively making your life harder? Yes. And not only that, but are you making it, are you overcomplicating it in your head? Yes, because it really is not that hard. Okay. It really is not that hard to create content around a specific sub niche. You literally take stuff that works in a broad space like the e-com space, and you just you take that content, you read a little bit more into it, you add your own spin on it and make it specific to your sub niche. It's as simple as that, right? Blogs, articles, content that has already worked within the broad ecom umbrella, right? 5 retargeting strategies for ecom brands. You take that content and you make it specific to the brands in your space, right? Then you comment on things that are happening within your space. It doesn't all have to be around digital marketing, right? What do people care more about? What do prospects care more about in your space? Facebook ads or what's happening in their space? The latter, right? So it's not just about talking about, Facebook ads and digital marketing. You can add a whole new dimension by adding, adding the commentary, just commenting on things that are happening in the industry. Massive, all right? And then sprinkling in a little bit of personal life and mixing it in with your sub niche, right? Guys, I absolutely love, quick selfie on my desk, okay? Love the fact that not only do I, not only is fitness a cornerstone of my life, and something that has literally, taken me out of depression, but the fact that I get, I wake up every single day and I get to work with the top fitness brands in the space, or not only help fitness brands but also empower others to live their healthiest lives, is something that I cannot believe is my job. Happy Sunday, everyone, right? So it really is not that hard when you actually do it the right way. And I mean, I could talk about this for hours on end. I think at this point in the training, I will probably maybe take a few questions. I will go through the chat, but before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little recap. Okay, so the SMMA space is changing. It's always changing. All right. I'm not gonna sit here and be a doomsayer. I don't know if that's the right word, right? But I'm not trying to get clicks. I'm not trying to get a clickbait you into thinking, oh, you have to like make emotional, irrational decisions. No, absolutely not, right? Understand that everything's always constantly changing, and it's the people who can adapt to new trends and market shifts that actually will reap massive rewards. So things that you need to be aware of: the shift towards niche specific agencies within the ecom umbrella, ever growing. Web 3.0, massive, right? Monopoly agency effect, insanely important. The shift towards a niche specific process to result, and understanding that your offer is not your service. Your offer is not your service. If your offer is your service, you have a shitty offer, right? You're not a Facebook ads agency. Understanding you need a 360 approach, right? And understanding that in order to make a lot of money with ecom agency, the way we scale is not through volume. Don't obsess over having the most clients here. Obsess over having the highest paying clients because you serve them very well. And the final thing is the shift towards micro authorities. In-group, out-group bias, right? We favor people who are inside our tribe, who share similar traits, characteristics, right? We're moving away from big influencers, big communities, right? People want to feel a sense of community here, right? People want to feel a sense that they're part of a tight-knit group of individuals that think alike. And that goes for every single industry, right? Niche, specific, small, that's what wins. And that's what makes a lot of money, makes a lot of profit, and impacts real people. So with that being said, let's go through the chat. Unfortunately, I cannot see you guys' names on Facebook because Facebook doesn't provide that information. But good to see a lot of you guys here. All right. Let me see if I can pure value. Appreciate it. Appreciate that. How would you market an NFT collection? That is a whole video in and of itself. Stay tuned for that. Is this live or pre-recorded? As I mentioned, it is live. What is the perfect math for a 10K per month agency? How many clients do you need to get the wheel going? If you do it the right way with an ecom agency, 3 to 5. You don't need more. I mean, 5 would even be quite a lot, to be honest. 2 to 3 is typically what I see. I'm not going to get into like very broad questions, guys, because we just finished a whole live training on a specific topic. So I'll maybe make a few videos on the rest of the stuff. Should I start running clients on Upwork? Upwork, I don't recommend because of the stuff that we talked about. Less volume, more high quality. All right, I'm an e-commerce expert. I get this question a bunch. Do you offer mentorships? Yes, we keep it tight knit. However, so we have an application vetting process. As I said, I applied these concepts and I truly walk the talk, right? When I say that mentorship is a passion project for me, because a lot of people say this, right? And look, it's not like it pisses me off, but it is completely fine admitting that some people should just admit that they're trying to make a scalable business out of coaching. That's completely fine, right? Just be congruent with your words. Do not say that it's a passion project when we all know that more personalized interaction, more one-to-one time, smaller communities, mastermind component works way better and gets way better client results than these communities with thousands and thousands of students, right? And so with the following that I have, and this is a little rant, but I'm gonna hit it with the following that I have within the agency space cumulatively, right? Being the largest cumulatively in all platforms, right? Obviously, there are platforms where there's other people that are larger, et cetera, but this is not a comparison, right? A lot of people would assume, well, thousands of students, but I'm trying to do the exact opposite, right? Because when I say it's a passion project, my actions actually reflect my words, right? Since I know that more personalized one-to-one interaction leads to better results, that's exactly and precisely what we do, right? We cap slots. We have application vetting processes that are actually application vetting processes, not just a sales call, right? We have one-to-one calls, right? We have assigned coaches to every single student. We actually actively walk the talk and we do as we preach, which is if I say that this is a passion project, you can see it because it's not scalable. I can assure you the way I do coaching and mentorship is not scalable, right? If you see the amount of one-to-one interaction that we have with our students, that's not scalable, right? But I've got my e-com brands and my agency that are. Makes sense? But that's a little rant I do. There's a link in the description if you want to check that out. It's not for everyone, but my point is, this is not in any way or anything like that. I hate animosity, but I do want to hold people accountable to their words. And I think honesty and transparency is absolutely key, right? And so, if you're saying this is a passion project for me, if it's truly a passion project, you would generally, you would care for the best results for the students. And I'm not saying courses, with thousands of students cannot get results, right? I'm not saying that at all. But if you compare it to a personalized interaction, a personalized mentorship, the success rate is going to be way higher for the one-to-one personalized interaction. So there's nothing wrong with making it scalable. Like there's nothing wrong with making money and growing a business, but it's just a choice of words, right? And holding people accountable and being congruent, that I think is important. And I think as long as marketing and messaging on social media and was being marketed to people and was being sold to people is congruent, I think there's no problem with that. But yeah, that's a little rant. And basically to say that, when I say it's a passion project, like my actions actually reflect my words. And hopefully these live trainings for free, also speak to that. All right. I'm also not saying that I'm Mother Teresa by any means of the any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, that is my little rant. Amazing content, Jaime. Thank you, Adrian. Again, these longer questions I will probably answer on like a different training. Do you also have students in Switzerland? Yes, I do. Quite a few actually. Will be a YouTube video. Yep, I'll probably leave it up for a few hours. I'll see how I can do this. But yeah, with that being said, so good to be in this group. Thanks, Jaime, for the knowledge shared. Absolutely, my man. If you guys are wondering what group he's talking about or she's talking about, the client closers, I've got a free Facebook mastermind where we're dropping so many value bombs. Sometimes I also go live on YouTube, but for 90%, we don't. We just keep it to the community. And I really want to nurture that community. I really, again, it's about walking the talk, right? So if I talked about communities and building small tribes of people that generally are serious about one thing, that are like-minded, that are on the same frequency in different industries, just crushing it. That's what I'm doing. We're actively doing with the client closers. Incredible community. If you guys want to join, it's completely free. This is going to be a link in the description. And there's a bunch of questions for vetting. But yeah, you guys can check it out if you wish. With that being said, I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Let's do this. For those of you who are still watching, if you want access to this little PDF and for me to send it over to you, the only thing you got to do is just go ahead, take a picture of this. Okay, take a picture of you watching this live training. You can also do it on the replay. Go ahead and tag me. Okay, on your IG story. My @ is Jaime Higuera1. Right. I'm putting it on the comments. That is my @ and yeah, I will go ahead and personally DM you this this document as well as a few other surprises, so you'll get a personal DM from me. But with that being said, I will see you in the next live training. Stay tuned for those, and bye-bye, everybody.